Hey guys, it's Rejected Gamer here, and welcome back to another episode of World of Tanks. Today I just want to be, I just want to be covering. No, um, no. On this episode, I just want to go over the AMX 1357 F, or GF as it's also known. There is also another GF tank in the game that I'm going to cover as well in this video, and that's going to be the Black Dog, the M41 90 mil, which is the German Bulldog, or the Black Dog as it's commonly referred to as now. And you see that name commonly pop up, and I think it was originated in I don't even know where it was originated. I first heard it on from Pookie Baby, but ah, pardon me, guys. I feel like I'm getting a little sick, but bear with me here. I just want to go over the 1357 and the 90 at the same time. So what I want to do then is 7, 8. Cool, good stuff. And we're gonna bring up everything from, I mean, be it these guys are a tier apart, but we're going to be taking a look at different things here. The one thing that I do want to talk about first, though, so actually I should drop all this shit, and then I'll bring it up in a minute. Okay? Cool. I just want to talk about the 57F real quick. I love this tank. It's probably one of my most favorite tanks in the game at the moment. I play this tank so much. My win percentage on it is bad. Very, very bad. Mostly because I get on teams that are lemmings. And it's mostly because of the fact that whenever I get in a light tank, I feel like I'm invincible. Yeah, I'm that guy. But that pushed off to the side, let's take a look at two things that really stood out to me when I first started playing the tank, and has really made me change my playing style with this light tank. And it's definitely not like any other light tanks for three main reasons. Well, many reasons, but three reasons that I'm going to put out there right now. The first part is it's got a 250 horsepower engine at almost 15 tons. That's about, I believe, a 15 or a 16 horsepower to ton ratio, which is not good, especially for a light tank that needs to get into battle as quickly as it possibly can. The other thing that stood out to me was a 61 kilometer top speed, which is also not that great for a light tank. There's a tier 2. The T2 light is better. It can even get up to 72. Yeah, this thing struggles to get over 60, 61 kilometers on level ground. It's rough, but the thing is that it can still get up to 61 kilometers an hour, which still I'd say you can still play this like an up there light tank and get into effective scouting positions rather quickly. But the one thing is you gotta make sure you gotta see what types of games you're getting into. If you're getting into tier 10 games, you really need to be careful because there's leopards now. You know, they're most of the time they're the top dogs, and they can really get into different positions as fast as they possibly can, and they're quick. You, on the other hand, you're quick, but if you think about it in this aspect, the Cromwell B, and even the Cromwell is faster and more maneuverable than this thing, which is not good, considering that this is a light tank and essentially needs to do some spotting. But it does have a very good camo rating. Very good. So, with that said, let's go back over to the other things about this tank that really make it stand out as one of those different light tanks. And that's its gun. It's a 57 millimeter autoloader, which, again, taking into consideration, this is supposed to be a tier 7 tank, but it's a tier 6 gun. But that doesn't matter. It's a 57 millimeter that gets 8 shells in a magazine. Yeah. The complete loading time, actually, that is not right. It's not 16 seconds anymore. I do believe it's 16 seconds if you have a bare bones crew. But I have vents and a 100% crew, so I got mine up or down to 15 seconds or 15.2 seconds, something like that. So that's where I'm at with that. Its penetration is okay, I guess, for a tier 7. 143 with AP, 195 with APCR, which APCR is the only thing I ever take out in this thing. I'm that scumbag. I really am. But to be effective up in higher tier games, you have to. It's just one of those things where it's just one of those tanks that you can't really make credits on. It's just more of a crew grinder. And in any sense, in any means, really, it's more of a crew grinder than anything else. Another thing is that if you penetrate, it's got an average damage of 90, which is not good. But if you do, let's say you didn't, you went in, you did some math, right? And you actually used your brain, which mine is broken apparently. 90 times the 8 shells. That's a potential damage in the clip of 720. And you can get that all off in 8 seconds. That's pretty good. That is really, really good. So that's just another thing to take into consideration there. And again, I mean, 90 hit points per shot is low, and it is a 57 millimeter, which this 57 millimeter is huge. It's a very long barrel. But I mean, the eight shells in the magazine really make up for the low average damage of a shot. But here's the kicker. Here's what really got me was the dispersion at .37, which is abysmal for a 57 millimeter, especially a tier 7. I mean, let's take a look at this gun here. And this is a 90 mil. That makes sense. These stats make sense. .38 dispersion, although this is a little fast. 1.8 second aim time, and it's lighter. It's a lighter gun. But then again, this is an autoloader, so it's going to be a lighter gun. Back over to the autoloader though. We'll cover this gun more when I get to that tank. But another problem is the aim time. It's a 2.3 second aim time. Well, what's the problem there? Well, the time it takes for you to load shots that are already loaded in for the auto-loading mechanism is 1.2 seconds, I believe, or 1 second, something like that. So, essentially, you can have your round loaded in, but you still got another second of aiming time after you've fired. Yeah. Not good. but still, it is a very good gun that really you essentially shouldn't really have to use much if you're passive scouting. And this is also a tank that I'd say needs to hold out until the end of the game, and then you want to start being more active in the battle. So let's hop over to the Black Dog over here, and I'll start comparing the two. Even though it's kind of counterintuitive to compare a tier 8 to a tier 7, but they get the same matchmaking essentially because they both see up to tier 10. So it makes sense. So, what's so special about the Black Dog? Um, well, it's obvious and it's right in front of our faces. Right here. This 90 mil that this tank gets. Its standard rounds has 182 millimeters of penetration, and its heat rounds get 250 millimeters of penetration. And here's something that really surprised me. High explosive on this tank gets 102 millimeters of penetration. You're telling me that I can go up to the rear end of an IS-3 and penetrate it with high explosive? Sign me up. Yes, please. This gun also sees a rate of fire of a little bit over 9 rounds a minute, which is nice. It also has a dispersion of 0.38. Aim time, a very, very healthy aim time of 1.8 seconds, which is nice. It really is nice, because that means you can turn your turret and aim in at another target rather quickly. But again, it's a light tank. You shouldn't really have to do that much. You will be turning your turret a lot, but don't turn your hole. When you find a good position, you stay there. You don't turn your hole. You're good. So your bloom really shouldn't massively go up unless you rapidly turn your turret a lot, like me, because I'm a scrub. Let's go to another thing about this vehicle that make it stand out from this thing. So immediately we realize something. This thing's half the power of this. Yeah, that's right. But it's still got a better power to weight ratio than the AMX. So you're you're essentially getting the better tank with the Black Dog than you are with the 57. In every aspect, the gun, power to weight, maneuverability, all of that comes into play when you take these two tanks into consideration. But I love the AMX, so I'm going to stand by it and say that it's still a very, very fun tank to play, and you can have some ridiculous outcomes in this tank, which I've had, especially with a DPM of over 2,000. You can put a hurt on an enemy team rather quickly if you penetrate your shots. Difficult to do, especially with a 57mm at higher tier in higher tier games, but you can do it. So that's where I stand with the 57. And the Black Dog, on the other hand, I love the tank. It's a lot of fun to play, especially with the fact that it's got a top speed of 72.4 kilometers, whole traverse speed of 54 degrees a second, and a turret traverse speed of 50, which is substantially better than the AMX. So, with all that out the way, guys, that's my comparison between these two tanks and somewhat of a review at the same time of both of these tanks. They are probably the most fun light tanks to play in the game right now, and I'm very happy that I have these as a pickup. They're just so much fun to play, and getting into games with these are just it's so entertaining and so rewarding as well, especially for your crew since it's a premium tank. Um, and you can deal a lot of damage out of this thing. You can do the same with this, but you can do it so much faster with the AMX. You just got to be careful when you're on your reload, though. Then again, if you are tucked up in a bush, hashtag Kemp Bush, unfair plane, all that good stuff. Unfair plane, Kemp Bush, unfair plane. Either way works. Um, you should be all right. You will be safe enough just to get your reload in, pop off another 8 rounds if you choose. I would not recommend it. I would recommend holding off until around the end of the battle and then going in and sweeping up, which is what light tanks should do, unless your team is a bunch of lemmings and you have to start mopping instead of just sweeping some of the dust particles um, off the ground. Yeah. So, with that said, you guys take care and have a nice day. I will catch you tomorrow. I do have to go to work in a little bit, so I will pump out. I might pump out another video later today, but it's unlikely. I'll see what I can do. But again, take care. I'll catch you next time.